ではあなたの王子を拝見しましょう。さて、封印は破られているか否か、密室は維持されているか否か。
The piece Erika held high in the air was the White Queen, which represented herself. Her target was Balder's territory. She cut straight in. Erika dashed down the hallway with a sickening smile and clung to the guest room door like a spider. Then, she closely examined the seals she had placed retroactively.
いいんですね。バトラさん。
バトラ
ー。よろしいのですか、バトラさん。
ああ、ここでは弾けない。俺が封じられても手紙を置く方法はあるんだからな。
しかし今からエリカは客室に踏み入るでしょう。そしてバトラさんの遺体の存在を観測します。どうするおつもりです？遺体があるならそれで問題はありません。予告の手紙は空振りしますが、別にそれはペナルティでも何でもありません。しかしあなたは正面からぶつかる気でいる。
男にはな、真正面から来られたら相手がどうであっても受けなきゃならねえ時ってのがあるんだよ。ここだけは引けねえ。受け切る。逃れる手なんて後からいくらでもこじつけられる。俺は前回それを金蔵の主催でやりきっている。大丈夫だ。いけるいける。来いエリカ
ノロヘ
ー。客室の完全な封印を確認しました。エリカ卿がバトルの存在を確認して以降、この密室は維持されています。
I see. So the seals weren't damaged. Okay. In which case, we are in the logic air territory here.
封印を破ります。ビリビリ、ボリボリ。
Erika destroyed the duct tape seal on the door in ecstasy. It looked as though the intellectual rapist had finally laid her true nature bare.
さあ、当てますよ。見せてください。バトラさんの赤裸々なシナリオを。
His naked scenario. Erika will see Batora all naked after taking a shower, dangling his pee-pee all around. Like a ruffian pushing down a weak girl, Erika mercilessly and greedily threw the door open. Then, finally, the inside of Balor's guest room was observed by Erika. Balor had to show it. Was there a corpse? Or wasn't there? Such ham. Batora! Be prepared for the intellectual rapist!
これが俺の王子だ!
Rather grabbed the black piece from the board and raised it high. Ah, that piece. Battle had no memories of the time she had been an expert at this game. And yet, for some reason, she realized that this was a move from which there would be no coming back. Once the piece was moved, he couldn't be taken back. The guest room was covered by a silent darkness. It was pitch black, and nothing could be seen. However, there was a light switch just off to the side of the entrance. If that was pressed, the room would be lit up, and everyone would see whether or not there was a corpse on the bed.
つけますか？いえ、ちょっとだけ待ってください。バトラさん、提案です。
聞こ
う。もうお分かりと思いますが、今回の私は犯人は誰かという王道的な勝利を目指していません。私の敵は駒殺しの犯人程度ではなく、対戦相手であるあなた自身なのですから。
分かってる。狙いはロジックエラーか。今は激しく後悔している。お前が惨めそうなふりをしていたのにまんまと騙されて、おかしな権利を許しちまったことをな。
あなたのおごりです。高い支払いをすることとなります。
くそ。
それでそちらの提案とは何ですか？
With a firm voice, Dato urged her to continue. Until just a second ago, she remained behind Balor's back, a bit flustered. However, she was steady now. She saw that Balor had let his emotions take control, and had been lured into making a bad move. And realized that it was time for her to stay cool and support him. Erika's proposal couldn't be anything good. And on top of that, Erika was sly. She probably wouldn't make a proposal that would be easily rejected.
今から明かりをつけます。ベッドの上が照らし出され、手紙の予告通りにバトラさんが消失しているか否かが決定されるでしょう。いればよし。何もおかしいことはありません。手紙の予告が空振りに終わるだけです。もちろん、では誰が手紙を置いたのかという論点に戦いは移るでしょうが、とりあえず戦いの場はこの密室を脱します。もし消失していたら、
Dato already knew. She knew the move that Balor had made a second ago. Balor had already disappeared from this room. Therefore, they would need to prepare a different disappearing trick. One other than he was actually alive and left through the door. The situation is simple. First, this room is a locked room. Also, Balor's life or death status has not been confirmed. In other words, it would pose no problem if he was alive. Under these conditions, they had to make Erika think that Balor disappeared. He could escape from the room, or, if that's impossible, he could hide somehow and wait for her to leave, making her think that he disappeared. Well, hiding is not going to be of much use, as long as the problem of how he disappeared still stands. Like, I'm thinking.
この狭い部屋の中で、これから私たちのエンドゲーム、詰め勝利が始まります。ほんの数手で決着するでしょう。あなたはこの部屋からバトラを脱出できるロジックを構築できず、物語を破綻させゲームオーバーになります。それを避けるべく戦うのがこちらの仕事です。それで提案というのは、
ロジックエラーをめぐるエンドゲームではより精密さを増した戦いをすべきです。また私たちは赤と青の真実でこれから攻防を行うわけですが、その赤き真実によってロジックエラーを起こさないかゲームマスターと同格の審判が監視する必要が出てきます。
道理です。
これは何も特別なことではありません。かつてのあなたがゲームマスターだった時も、あなたの後見人であるラムダデルタ教によってそれは監視されていました。その結果、赤き真実が全て有効であると判断されていたのです。
俺たちの手の内をラムダデルタに見せろっていうのか。
最初から見てるわよ。大丈夫、安心して。ジャッジメントについては公平だから。
Yeah. Well, as long as it's not Ben Castell, I think I'm good.
それを赤き真実で語れますか？
ええ、ジャッジメントの公平を誓うわ。前回のゲームでも私十分公平だったつもりよ。
どっちに転んでも面白い裁判では特にね。受けなさい、バトラー。エリカはあんたを詰めるわ。わかる？この部屋であんたと決闘して殺すということよ。男なら決闘を受けなさい。
いいだろう。俺が不可能殺人を見せるたびにいちいちロジックエラーを疑われてちゃ話が進まねえ。ゲームが有効であることを保証する立ち会い人は確かに必要だ。
じゃあ私はこっち側に回るわね。あんたの手拝見するわよ。ふむふむ。
Humu. That understood what Bellor had up his sleeve. And she confirmed that Erika's first move had indeed gone straight through his heart. And just as Erika had guessed, Bellor was alive. And after Erika had examined his corpse, he had slipped out of the room, placed a letter by the guest house, and hid himself somewhere. Once the duct tape seals were retroactively placed on the guest room, he suddenly became required to show that they had been torn. Okay, well, I feel like a first strategy for this would be to question if Bellor actually managed to escape the room while Erika was sitting in the room in the first place, and he exited that room like a ninja, similarly to Kinzo in the last game in the study room. Although I don't know if we can really go with that. Like, it has been established that Bellor was inside the closed room. I mean, there's the definition of the room from before. So... However, if he had done that, he would have been the same as admitting that he had been seen through and that he had lost. Unwilling to admit that, Bellor had claimed that the seals had been preserved, with false courage, and was now rushing to revise his logic. True, he could still escape for a few more moves. However, Erika was planning to corner and kill him here.
バトラー、あんたすごいカードで戦ってるのね。
カード？お前にはこのチェスがトランプに見えるのか？
私にはあんたたちがポーカーで戦ってるように見えてたわ。だからこっち側に回ってあんたの持つカードの全てがわかる。ひどい手だわ。まるで役なしじゃない。しかもそれをあんたは完璧にエリカにカンパされてるわ。
あんたならどうするよ。
私は審判よ。助言はしないわ。でも感想は言わせて。
いや、いい。
ゾクゾクするわ。あんたこの役なしの手で掛け金だけのブラフでエリカを下ろせる気でいるのね。降りないわよ、あいつは。今むしろチップを払って降りるべきはあんたの方だわ。
助言感謝します。バトラさん、私も同感です。この部屋での戦いを降りましょう。勝てるカードはありません。
カードチェンジでマシな役に化けるのを期待してるの？あんたチェスをしてるつもりなんでしょ？チェスの世界に運頼みなんか持ち込んでると死ぬわよ。
By hoping for a card change, she meant relying on luck and hoping that, even though he couldn't think of anything now, he might later be able to think of a good plan for how to make this lock room trick hold up. I mean, it really is another ace attorney mentality we're going with here when it comes to my own experiences. Sometimes the defense attorney will not have any ideas, but they will stall for some time until they get another idea before the judge declares the final verdict of guilty for the defendant. But, you know, at that point, you do have something to fight for. Your defendant's innocence. If you are to give up before one last strike, you would regret it after the case. Here, well, again, Umineko ain't your typical story. But, you know what? I guess we can apply a little bit of the same mentality over here. Because I feel like if we are to remove ourselves from this, then there will be another situation like this in the future. If Erika keeps creating these logic errors. Because, from what I'm understanding right over here, the whole thing going wrong with the logic error, it doesn't necessarily have to be that Erika tricked Beller into giving her the duct tape. No. It's more so that he revised the story that way. In case, like, TLDR, the more the story is revised, the more plot holes may happen. So, yeah, might as well. Let's see. Beller, if you start this battle without a trick up your sleeve, you're marching to your own death. If you ever plan to back down, it has to be now. And then got presses the light switch. You just have to be lying on the bed. That's all there is to it.
ラムだ。何の話をしてるのか知らないけど、おしゃべりが長すぎるわ。審判は公平でいてくれなきゃ。
そうね。じゃあ頑張ってね、バトラ。チェスらしい精密な戦いを期待してるわ。あんたがしてるのはポーカーじゃないんでしょ？
覚悟はいいですか、バトラさん。
ああ、いいぜ。いつでも明かりをつけろ。
これよりこの部屋での戦いは時間進行を停止して行います。それにより双方のすべての手は同時的であり、最初に出された手であろうと後から出された手であろうと同じ意味を持ちます。意味が分かりにくいと思いますが、これはロジックを守るためのあなたを保護するルールです。あなたはこれからへりくつの限りを尽くしてこの部屋のトリックの再構築を行うわ。つまり
戦いの途中で良いアイデアが思いつく可能性もあるということ。本来筋書きを途中で変更するのはアンフェアな行為。それを認めるために後から思いついたロジックであっても後出しではないという同時的な時間停止の世界が必要なのよ。
もちろんこれはエリカにとっても利用できるルール。バトラが変更した新しいトリックに対応して別の対応を取ることができる。
ややこしいですね。
シンプルな話さ。汚職政治家のへりくつ合戦と同じってことだろ。シャーシャーと嘘をついてそれを看破される証拠を出されたらそれに矛盾しないように、それまでの嘘を記憶違いでしたとシャーシャーと撤回して新しい嘘に変更する。嘘とそれを破る証拠とそれを逃げる嘘と、そういう互いの尻尾を飲み込もうとぐるぐる回る2匹の蛇の戦いってわけだ。
グッド。
Beller, you sure have quite the imagination when describing such things.
要するに後出しのへりくつがいくらでも許される世界と考えてください。私もこの部屋の封印の件でそれを行使しました。だからあなたも行使できるようにするのがフェアなことだと思いまして。
よくもシャーシャーと言えるものです。
オーケー。では双方始めなさい。
Okay, let's do this.
初手はエリカからでしょ。いえ、ベッドの掛け金の確認から。
そうね、ベッドのバトラの確認からだわ。エリカ、始めなさい。
お任せを我が主。ライトオン。
Ah! That look on your face is priceless. Don't worry. It's just a CG of Beller on bed that was used when his body was discovered. Lambda helped me with that. Thank you, Lambda. Bonehead. Noodle hair. With a click, the sound of the light switch rang out, and the bulb turned on, lighting up the room. Beller's bed on the bed was...
ドラノール、赤で確認を。
はい。ベッドの上には。
いや、俺の手だ。俺が言おう。ベッドの上に後ろ宮バトラーはいない。
Okay.
グッド。よく勝負を逃げませんでしたね。敬意を表します。
レートの高い勝負ってことは、お前だって負けた時の支払いが多いということだ。覚悟はあるんだろうな。
自分に有利である自信がない限り、人はレートを上げたりなんかしません。
ドラノール、記録を取りなさい。
良いです。
At the owner's nod, Cornelia, who was hanging back, started taking a record. She wrote down that Beller's corpse, which should have been on the bed, was not, and also that Beller hadn't backed down from this locked room again.
バトラの初手は予告通りの死体消失からよ。次はエリカの手番。どうぞ。
後ろ宮バトラが生きていて、室内のどこかに隠れている可能性の提示です。これを青き真実で宣言します。
無効だ。それを青き真実で語りたいなら、具体的な場所を示してもらおう。
Right. we gotta go through the same process as last time. Is he hiding under his body pillow? Or is he not hiding under his body pillow?
前回のゲームの金蔵の書斎でベアトがそれをやってドラノールにめった打ちにされてたっけ。仕返しってわけかしら。
探し始める前に探さずに使える青き真実を一つ。発見不可能な隠し扉 X の可能性。
Well, there is Nox's commandment, so...
その中に隠れているため私には発見不能。
ノックス第三条、秘密の通路の存在を禁ずだったな。
客室内にエリカさんに発見不能な隠れ場所は存在しません。
ノックス第三条有効です。
グッド。では早速捜索を開始しましょう。
Erika slowly began to walk around the room. Until the endgame had started, Erika had been energetic, jumping about impatiently like a hungry dog. However, now that it had actually begun, this was a stifling battle of wits, where each breath made her tense. Like, now that the time has stopped, it means that it doesn't matter if Balor disappears while Erika is looking, I assume. Like, if we are to find Balor, he will be in a specific place, and he cannot move from that spot. Or... I guess we shall see.
客室内を捜索した上でその構造を要求。
客室はベッドルームとバスルームの2部屋構造となっています。エリカ卿は現在ベッドルーム部分の全てを捜索しました。例外は1箇所のみ。
その1箇所は今は保留します。その結果ベッドルーム内に異常は
ありませんでした。例外1箇所を除きベッドルームに誰の姿もありません。
Except for one location.
例外1箇所とは何だ。いやらしい言い方をせずに公表しろ。
伏せたカードは伏せたままだから意味があるんです。必要とあれば開きますのでお楽しみに。
Just imagine her playing Cards Against Humanity while she is supposed to be playing shogi. After thoroughly checking the bedroom, Erika headed for the bathroom door. Since he wasn't in the bedroom, it was natural to think that he was in the bathroom. And since the guest room was made up of 2 rooms, if Balor wasn't in the bathroom either, it would mean that he had managed to vanish from the locked room. Except for that single location which Erika had intentionally left unchecked.
バスルームを調べます。
エリカ卿、中から水音が聞こえます。わずかに熱気もです。
まさかシャワー中でしたか
Called it. We are gonna catch him all naked, with his ding dong dangling all over the place.
鍵でもかかっています？
いや、かかっていない。開ければいい。
では失礼させていただきます。
Slowly, Erika put her hand on a doorknob on the bathroom door. She tried to push it open, but felt a strange resistance. Of course, it wasn't the resistance of the lock. It felt as though it had an unnatural load on it. Okay, I have been thinking of something here. Like, I'm thinking of someone else who might have put the letter there. I guess while Erika's view is subjective, let's assume that what we've seen with the 2 rooms in the guest house and Erika exiting her own room, let's assume that those are accurate. When Balor acknowledged that the humans are in their respective rooms, it was right when Erika exited her room. But what about before? When Erika was inside her room, like before Higurashi let her out. Like, somebody from the cousin's room could have gone outside, put the letter, and then come back to the cousin's room before Erika exited. And all that happened before Erika sealed both of those rooms. So there is that possibility. Out from the slightly open crack poured the hot air from the shower. However, it was unlocked, so there probably wasn't anyone taking a shower. After letting a dumbfounded expression rise to her face, Erika slammed into the door with the whole body, knocking it open.
Nani?
As soon as she opened the door, a tempest of hot air and water blasted her. Erika was thrown for a loop, unable to understand what had happened. After falling backwards on her butt, she realized that boiling hot water, like boiling hot shower water, was spewing out of her, and hard. What the hell? Did Balor suddenly pull a Home Alone move on Erika? Now, Erika is all wet, and she's grumbling like one of the sticky bandits, like... Cursing, Erika wrapped the blanket from the bed around herself, and tried to enter the bathroom once more. Erika ain't a blankie. And this time, she was able to figure out what was going on. It was an elaborate prank. A wire fixed the shower nozzle in place so that it pointed at the entrance. The pressure and heat were turned up to the max, so that anyone who went through the door would be met with a wave of hot water. Sheesh. Like, the pressure for that nozzle is huge. It's as if this nozzle is used for elephants at the circus. The pressure was very strong, which probably accounted for the weight she had felt when trying to push the door open. She tried to make the nozzle point in another direction, but not only was it fixed in a place by the wire, it was also fixed in a place high enough that Erika couldn't reach it with her height. She tried to turn off the pressure, but that was also held in place by wires. She couldn't manage anything with her bare hands. She would have to get a tool that would cut the wires. However, when she glanced into the bathtub, which was filled to the brim with very hot water, she saw a bundle of wires and a pair of nipples that had been used to cut them lying at the bottom. If she used those, she could turn off the pressure. The blanket she had used to protect herself from the shower became more and more drenched with boiling hot water. At this rate, she'd get burns even through her blanket. She needed to turn the water off quickly. Looking next to the bathtub, she spotted a long-handled body brush hanging there. Perfect. Erika used that to skillfully scoop the nippers off of the bottom of the tub. Fortunately, It was a shallow Western-style bathtub. If it had been a deep Japanese one, it probably had burned her badly. Making sure not to touch the hot metal parts, she carefully took the nibblers and cut the wires around the faucet. Take that, and that. Christ. First, you have the duct tape kink, and now you're all hot and wet. You really have no shame, do you?
Quiet, you perverted monkey!
She finally closed the faucet and the heat from the hot water storm died down. For a while, Erika was forced to cool her almost burnt arms under running water.
とんだ災難です。
あんたも一風呂どうです？このボディブラシで顔面を洗ってあげますよ。
お気持ちだけで結構です。
Yeah, I think we're good. Just make sure to cool yourself with some cold water for a bit. Otherwise you will remain with burns. Like, see if you can use a towel or something to pat your skin.
I'll use that towel to strangle you to death.
あっそ。そりゃ残念です。
Erika had finally regained enough of her composure to be abusive. She closed the faucet completely, and silence returned to the bathroom. After that, all that remained was Erika's heavy breathing. She turned on a fan to get rid of the hot steam. She left the bathroom for a moment until it was finished. It was pleasant, like stepping into an air-conditioned room on a hot summer's day.
ふざけた罠ですね。しかしこれは検視時にはなかったものです。よってこの罠の出現により後宮バトラが生きていたことが証明されましたね。まあもとより死んでいるとも思っていませんでしたが。
バレているカードを堂々と晒してきたというだけの話です。
ではバスルームの中を確認しましょう。バトラの姿は？
いいえ、バスルームに誰の姿もありません。
グッド。これで私たちは例外一箇所を除いて客室にバトラが存在しないことを確認しました。
いい加減にしてください。その例外一箇所とは一体どこですか？
棺桶です。
A coffin.
後宮バトラのね。
肺は肺に、死体は棺桶にです。
この部屋で詰めるんだろう。いいぜ。来な。
The previous period of silence, complete except for the rain, was suddenly replaced by the overpowering smell of a burning fuse. And though it was extremely quiet, the room was filled with tension, as though you could be sliced in half if you relaxed for an instant. A cloud of gold butterflies scattered on the room's round table, and turned into a witch's chessboard. It was finally time for the siege.
「青き真実。あなたはこの部屋から消失などしていません。姿を隠し、あたかも密室から消え去ったかのように錯覚させただけです。隠れた場所は私がまだ調べていない例外一箇所。
As Erika lightly raised her hand, A single gold butterfly appeared from the darkness behind her, flitted between the index finger and middle finger of Erika's raised hand, and became a white piece. Then, she lifted it high into the air.
その例外一箇所とは、入り口脇のウォークインクローゼット。
BAM! Like a wild bolt of lightning striking the earth, the white piece homed in on a weak spot in Balor's territory and slammed onto the board. Make sure you don't destroy the game board in the process, even though it will be destroyed soon enough if we're not careful.
そう、ここです。
With a crash, the door of the closet, which was just off to the side of the guest room's entrance, was impaled by a spear that represented the blue truth. In the closet, Delnor had spun it on and thrown it. The door was completely pierced, and the spear stuck in so deeply that, if a human had been hiding in it, it would have struck through their chest as well. Its still quivering handle was a testament to the force with which it had been thrown.
ここしか隠れる場所はありません。あなたは今この中に隠れているのです。
どうですバトラさん、心臓のど真ん中を一突きでまさにスマザードメイトってところですか？
バトラさん、次はこちらの番です。
ああ、やはりな。そうだろうと思ったぜエリカ。わざと一箇所を残し相手を棺桶に追い詰める。前回のゲームで金蔵を夏日の部屋に追い込んだのと同じ手だ。その手は読んでいたぜ。
おや、そうでしたか。では応酬をお願いします。しかし予告します。
してみろ。
あと2手であなたをチェックメイトします。
Two moves.
これが予告です。
なら俺も同じ予告だ。俺もまたお前をあと2手でチェックメイトする。
面白いじゃない。
矛盾した予告だわ。嘘つきはどっちになるのかしら。
The air crackled and sparked. The sounds would hurt one's skin.
ではどうぞ。そちらの手番です。
無駄です。あなたたちの棺桶ごときでバトラさんを捕らえることなどできません。
これが俺の王子だ。
Slowly, Bao held his hand over the chessboard. A gold butterfly that had appeared from the darkness rested on Balor's finger and became a black piece. That black piece was the king, which represented Balor himself.
これがお前の言うバトラはクローゼットに隠れているへの俺の一手だ。くらえ。後ろ宮バトラ、客室内に存在しない。
Oh!
クローゼットも含め一切の例外なくだ。
Like a black bolt of lightning this time, Balor slammed his piece down on the white piece of Erika's that had cut deep behind his knuckles, smashing that piece completely. As gold sprayed everywhere and a faint cloud of gold dust hung in the air, Erika's piece melted beautifully into the darkness.
そうか。まずクローゼットに隠れ、エリカがシャワーに気を取られてる間にこっそり部屋を抜け出した。
Okay, well, If that's the case, then I guess stopping the time would have no effect whatsoever. Battler can escape as long as Erika is distracted, if that's what happened.
前回のゲームで金蔵を書斎から逃した手法と同じだ。観測者の観測をそらし闇に消える。
グッと。そうでしょうね。そうでしょうね。読んでいますよ、その一手はね。